Hey, and we're back for another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. It's me, Jake Baldino, today, and we're talking about Highguard. Yes, it's free to play, free to download, but we call these videos Before You Buy, so whatever. Look, probably like some of you curious people out there, I downloaded Highguard yesterday when it went live and just jumped right in. So here are some first impressions after playing the game pretty intensely since it dropped yesterday. So if you're just going to listen to this part and then like run down to the comment section, the short answer to this video is, to me personally, Highguard isn't the absolute disaster some people were rooting for it to be. It has its moments, but that's still not good enough. At least not right now, especially with all the other games out there begging for your time. The bumper sticker, the back of the box quote for me, Highguard is an interesting game mode wrapped in a bland, uninspired package. Now, for the uninitiated, Highguard is a 3v3 kind of hero-based raid shooter. You choose characters with distinct different abilities, and you race through the map to get an item to break into the enemy's base. As you all fight for that item, kind of like capturing a flag, once someone gets it and runs and gets to the enemy base with it, they crack the walls of that base wide open, and then it's up to the other team to fortify and defend their base and then engage in a kind of bomb defusal mode. Now, I mentioned the main single 3v3 raid mode game up front for a reason. It's the most interesting part of the game and the root of the fun. It's not perfect. It's definitely got some loot stuff and some pacing stuff, but it's at least interesting, and it kept me coming back longer than I expected. And I don't think it's as black and white to just write this off as just another Concord, another soulless live service shooter, because you can at least see some fun gameplay ideas and then also see room for improvement. But it's just the rest of it, man, unfortunately, like weird performance on PC, really generic, forgettable characters with throwaway lines that feel like nothing, an inconsistent visual vibe, palette, kind of overall, and just really underwhelming progression. The free battle pass type thing, war chests, they give you one for free to start here, it's really undercooked and just not enticing. There are 3 different free-to-play currencies, and the character skins, weapon skins, mount skins, weapon charms, emotes, all of that just don't really garner much excitement, save for like one here or there. Plus, the offering itself, like even though the game is free, progression challenges are really slight, there's no ranked yet, and there's only the one game mode. That's it. So all I can really do is stand on the gameplay itself, and like I said, it's interesting, if a bit flawed. So first things first, the maps are quite large despite it being 3v3. And I've seen like a common criticism, like feeling empty and like you have to like wander around looking for people, but I never really had that issue finding and engaging the enemy pretty consistently. What I do think it could really use is some mobs, because there are periods in the matches where you just are free to run around, get loot, fortify your base, and gear up. Those moments are pretty brief. It feels like a race against time, which is a good idea, but I also just wish there was a little bit of something else going on out there in the environment. Still, getting around it and scoring that loot really quickly, and even engaging and seeing the enemy team pretty consistently is because of the movement. There's lots of zip lines, a generous slide, the ability to teleport back to the base at certain points during a round, and the ability to magically summon a mount at any time you want. I like the mount as a core concept. I think it's pretty cool. And it's actually surprisingly fun to like blast off through the map to try to intercept someone coming towards your base, or grabbing what is essentially the flag and galloping and jumping at top speed while others are shooting at you with your boys rolling up behind you, trying to cover your escape. The thrill of the chase, when you and your buddies are riding on horses or panthers or bears, just barreling down the map while shooting other guys. That's when the game is honestly at its best. Now, fortifying your base walls before the enemy busts in feels like a little bit of a weird forced inclusion. It kind of feels like they were like, we also need a little Fortnite in here, get some building going, But where it works is certain character types having special abilities or ways to either repair walls or bust through them more easily, so it doesn't feel completely half-assed. Now, speaking of those abilities, Each character has their own abilities and ultimates. Characters can build walls to trick enemies or divert them. Some players can go invisible. Some can paint and identify targets. One can just smash through walls super easily. And then in terms of the ultimate abilities that slowly build up during a match, one character can fly into the air and throw down lightning bolts. One can create a spawn point in a way more advantageous environment. One can do a big AoE blast. One can throw a bunch of knives. The ultimates are, for the most part, deeply unsatisfying to use. I don't know, they just never really felt very effective. I'll admit it did take me a second to get the hang of them. Like, I wasn't great at first, but even still, they just don't feel as powerful or as effective as an ultimate should be, especially for a kind of hero shooter here, and especially one where a lot of the ultimates feel like lesser versions or new spins on Overwatch ones. Now, in terms of like the basic core combat itself, characters can do a little melee combo, as well as throwing and recalling the weapon, which is an interesting inclusion, but I didn't find myself using it too much, like giving essentially a little Kratos axe melee here. But gunplay and tossing grenades and all that feels solid. Weapon feedback is good. The smack of a melee finisher is there. It satisfies, you know, and sliding and jumping and shooting all feels nice and sweaty and smooth as it should. I mean, this is the studio that was founded by some of the people who did Apex Legends and Titanfall, according to their marketing, so I expected that. So it's zippy to play, but unfortunately, the guns just really didn't do it for me. There's 2 guns you can carry, and holding the weapon swap button will bring out your special weapon with special ammo. But AK-47s, submachine guns, sniper rifles, shotguns, revolvers, all felt, you know, not really remarkable. None of them really had any zest to them, any really excitement to them. And for half of the match, most of them feel like crap. Once you find higher ranked loot as the round progresses, you do feel more power behind these weapons, you do feel more effective, and it's not as frustrating, but the weapons themselves, again, there's not a single one that I really find very memorable. And that kind of comes back around to the whole thing, like the characters too. There's John Highguard, there's like the guy, there's like the invisible lady. It's kind of hard to pin them down because they all feel like weird amalgamations of characters that we've seen in a million games before. But what I do remember is the challenge. Sometimes it's very, very hard to get a win. You gotta really work for it. And I was surprised how long a match could really go with a good back and forth. The first day I played, I did absolutely awful. The second day, I felt better overall, got some wins, and I think it really comes down to who you're playing with. It's very important in this game to have 2 other players with you that you are constantly communicating with. If you have that and you guys are on a good run, you can have a little bit of fun. I certainly did. I'm not gonna like lie to you guys after playing all day and not having a couple laughs with my friends playing this. But really, it wasn't about the moment-to-moment close quarters shooting. It was about running around on horseback, scoring the flag, or getting a dome cracker or dome breaker, busting into the enemy base and planting a bomb and totally screwing them over. That's the good stuff. The generic characters, the generic abilities, and guns and stuff that I don't care about is where, unfortunately, it all falls short. Then there's the stuff in the middle that's a little weird, you know, like the pursuit of loot. The fact that you gotta run out there and get loot means that sometimes the game can just feel really unsatisfying. You can feel like you have a real piece of crap gun, and time to kill can be really, really small for you. You can get headshotted and killed instantly while you were putting tons of rounds into one enemy without dropping them. That's kind of the nature of the game, but I wish there was a little bit more visual awareness of like what character I was really up against. Because again, it's a lot to juggle. You're juggling the loot, you're juggling the power of your loot, your armor rating, all that while worrying about fortifying your base and riding on a horse, and also gathering these crystals to then spend at the shop to buy better weapons. And I think the crystal system really kind of slows this game down. I think there is still an aspect of the quick chase for loot that can be interesting, but I think the crystals really actively get in the way of that because it just feels really lame. It feels like in Fortnite, like you're just smacking something with a pickaxe or running around in some survival game, punching a tree until you get some wood. And I really don't think this type of game needed that. So it's another aspect, like it's another mark where I talk about kind of like weird inconsistencies, and it feels like some things were kind of just thrown in the game to have it. In some instances, weird things thrown in the game work, like riding a cool magic horse. Other things like this, or having like the throwable axe thing that just doesn't feel effective, that's where you question it a little bit more. Then of course, there's also all the free-to-play stuff, which if you don't like free-to-play games, you're already gonna hate all of this. There's 3 different currencies. There's vigil tokens, which you earn by playing and doing matches, and you can use these to unlock war chest or battle pass stuff. There's warden credits, which you get for playing and just completing challenges that you get from the challenge menu. These can help you unlock things in the little trading post store. And this is kind of like the little store that's updated and refreshed pretty regularly with stuff. Then there's Highguard Gold, which just costs real money. And here you're able to buy skins and packs in the store. I'm glad it's just skins, but then even that, if you're the type of person that likes to buy skins, I am not one of them, but if I was, I didn't really see any here that I would consider buying. And then of course there's performance, which the game had some issues. I had to like really adjust some settings to get a good frame rate, and I'm running a pretty powerful PC. Along with that, the game still just doesn't look too good at times. I still experienced a somewhat inconsistent frame rate here and there, as well as the game looking a little fuzzy, like not as sharp as it should. Just kind of feels less than ideal. And, you know, with a game that was being developed completely in secret and then kind of just suddenly released, I was hoping it would have better optimization, and it didn't feel kind of like rushed or kicked out the door. Now, again, I was able to have it completely playable, just with some frame drops here and there, but if you look at other people, some other people are having more issues, so I do say before you play this, definitely look into it, do your research, check your specs. But ultimately, that's where we're at with Highguard. Not this absolute complete crash and burn disaster like anything like that, but something that's just frankly underwhelming, from the offering on hand to the PC performance to just the vibe, the characters, the world, the weapon types, all that stuff kind of feeling completely forgettable. But scoring the flag on your horse, blasting through the environment with your buddies, scoring a slam dunk, that's where the game does have its moments. There is fun here. It's just for you, like, you know, are you willing to put up with all the other caveats and like all the other things that they threw in the game that kind of feels a little designed by committee here and there? Are you going to want to deal with that, or are you going to want to jump to a multiplayer game that maybe has a lot more going on? Like I said, it's a competitive, crowded market, and I still have some belief in Highguard's main 3v3 raid mode with these cool mounts. And if the game does maintain a player base and the game continues to be supported, I am very curious to see how it plays a year from now, because I would honestly love to check it out again if it kind of shores some things up. But hey, that's me. That's a before you buy. You know how this goes by now. I'll give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinions. So now I want to hear yours down in the comments. I'm sure you've got an opinion on Highguard, so let's hear it. But most importantly, did you actually give it a shot for yourself? Because you don't have to pay money for it. Did you check it out? What do you genuinely think? Let's talk anything Highguard down in the comments. If you like this video, seeing the gameplay on screen here, clicking a like button helps us out. We really appreciate that. But that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.